Captain Skip with Mr. Wiffle Lure. We're fishing the 10,000 Islands this morning. We're in the back country. We're fishing with Captain Rodney Raffield out of Chokoloskee, Florida, and we're arriving at our first fishing spot. Today we're going to be fishing the what Rodney calls the rock holes. The rock holes are deep holes in amongst the mangroves and the oyster bars that the fish fall down into. We got a low tide now, and the fish will get down in those holes when it's shallow in all the other areas. So we're going to give it a shot, and we just got here. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. Got a beautiful day. It's about 70 degrees, and the high today in South Florida is supposed to be about 85. Let's see how we do. Thumped, but they're not eating it. Rodney's on. Rodney's on.
I don't know what it's not very big.
Little snapper.
Let's find out. I think so.
Now tell them what it is and how you caught that fish, so they will have that. And what you caught it on, Rodney.
Okay. A Wiffle lure, of course. Okay, folks. He's not big enough, but this is just to show you the versatility of a Wiffle lure. I caught this mangrove snapper jigging the rock hole with a 4-inch Mr. Wiffle with a 3/4 inch weight and a circle hook. And we're going to let him go because he's not big enough, but he's close, maybe 9.5. Check it out.
With a 1/0 hook.
We'll show you the versatility here, Larry.
Yeah, get him on video rigging that up.
Okay.
He'll talk about it.
Check it out. Okay, folks. Just to show you the versatility of the Wiffle lure and my rig that I'm fishing with. This is the 4-inch bait. I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to put what the hell's going on that one? This is the 2-inch micro Wiffle. I'm going to put it on the hook just like that. That's all I'm going to do, guys. And check it out. Let's see if we can get one of these snappers. There he is. Not that big, guys, but just to show you. And he might make it.
Rodney's on. Rodney's on.
I don't know what
Yeah, he looks like he
big.
might make the snapper bell ring, Rodney.
Let's find out. I think so.
Now tell them what it is and how you caught that fish, so they will have that. And what you caught it on, Rodney.
Okay. A Wiffle lure, of course. All right, Skip. Okay, folks. He's not big enough, but this is just to show you the versatility of a Wiffle lure. I caught this mangrove snapper jigging the rock hole with a 4-inch Mr. Wiffle with a 3/4 inch weight.
There you go, he's got him
And
on.
a circle hook. Nice. He's going to let him go.
Started out with a
not
bang.
big enough, but he's close. Maybe 9.5.
He might make it.
It's possible. Another nice snapper, guys, on the micro Wiffle.
That color, Rodney, is what I call shrimp glitter gold.
Okay.
It's almost like a natural shrimp color with gold glitter in it. Just a hair short. All right, now I wanted to show y'all what we're doing here again. Rodney's already done that one time, but I want to explain a little more why. Larry, if you can zoom into this bait. This is the 4-inch Mr. Wiffle, and here is the little 2-inch Mr. Wiffle, micro Wiffle we call it. And what's happening here is we're fishing this rock hole in the 10,000 Islands, Everglades National Park. And the mangrove snapper in here, and on this 4-inch bait, they're hitting it. They're knocking the heck out of it. Rodney's catching them every cast. But they're hitting the bait, but they can't get the hook because the bait's so big. So you people that fish with a 4-inch wiffle and get the tails knocked off, that's one of the reasons, is because you got too big of a bait. The micro wiffles, here's probably a keeper 10-inch snapper that Rodney just caught. He's catching them every cast. Are you on or off? Okay. All right, I wanted to show you again on this rig here. I'm going to take the 4-inch Mr. Wiffle lure off, and we like to use a 1-2 or a 3-0 hook. I happen to have a 3-0 hook. I believe Rodney's using a 1-0 hook, and we like to rig it up the same way as the 4-inch. We just like to go in about a 1/4 inch from the nose in, and this is the salt and pepper micro wiffle. And I'm going to throw that out. We got it with a sliding 1/4 ounce weight. This rock hole is about, oh, I'd say 8 to 10 feet deep, with, as you can see out in the distance, the water just past it is very shallow. We're going to throw it out and let it sink. And once we feel like it's on the bottom, which we can tell, we're just going to twitch it. We're going to use what I call, again, the twitch and fall method. There you go, Rodney's got another one. This is a method that Rodney has developed here in the Chokoloskee area. That's a nice one, Rodney. And probably Rodney, and then Rodney and I fishing together, and Rodney with his clients. He's the only captain in the area that fishes like this that we know of. This is a method of fishing that he's developed. Rodney, we may end up with our limit of snappers here.
It's very possible.
That'd be awesome. Ooh, they're tapping it. Missing them. See, I got that 3-0 hook on here. If I would switch to a 1-aught, they would get the hook.
Depending on what we're fishing for, is kind of what we use with hook size. I like the versatility of a 1-0 hook because I can go from big to small baits, and you can still hook the gags and the trout and the snook and the red on the 1-0, but you also have the versatility of not having to re-rig to catch a snapper. Where with the 3-0 hook, it's just a little too big to catch these snappers.
Yeah, when we move out of here, Rodney, I'm going to take my other rod and put a 1-0 hook on it, and that way I've got both sides of the deal covered. I just let it sit still, and in the current that tail's moving, and he knocked the heck out of it, but he didn't get the hook.
Okay, look, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna call this snapper. You ready? Snapper on this cast. Get ready. Oh, he'll have to edit this.
That might be a grouper.
That's a good one.
That might be
Get out of there.
That might be a grouper, Captain Rodney. If it's a snapper, that is a good one. That's a grouper.
It's a grouper.
Now look, folks. Micro wiffle, gag grouper. That's another thing you catch fishing these rock holes with Captain Rodney. On the micro wiffles. Good catch, Rodney.
Mm-hmm.
Now what are you going to call next time? That was supposed to be a snapper, but that's a pretty darn good catch, I'll tell you.
You have to hide that color.
I'm not getting as many bites. They like in that color. I think since that cold snap, maybe there's some little shrimp pushing out in these currents.
Could be.
You know.
How many fish is that on that bait? Quite a few, and I haven't.
5.
And I haven't.
Oh, I missed him. That was a pretty good one. And I was just sitting there. I wasn't even moving it.
Mm-hmm.
The current was moving it.
Yeah, usually when I'm fishing these deep holes, I like to do what you're talking about, just that pop and drop. And most of the time they'll pick it up on the drop.
Yeah, they see that tail.
Yeah.
See, when it's sinking, they see that tail undulating, as Mark Sosin would say. There you go, Rodney's on.
That's a pretty good one.
Another grouper.
No.
No?
No. Nice snapper
Ooh,
though.
that's a nice snapper there now.
For the Everglades, that's
Yes,
a pretty
sir.
good one right there.
Yes, sir.
That's another thing that, when I say this, a lot of folks are probably going to think this is a little funny, but I catch a lot bigger snappers on the wiffle lures than I do on bait, as far as shrimp and stuff like that. And I think it's because the more aggressive, the bigger fish are just going to go for a nice size moving piece of bait. But that there's 12, 13 inches. There he's going to get some snapper.
I'm going to change over. You hit that right there, Larry. I'm going to switch over to a 1.0 at a bigger weight, because it's obvious that my rig is not. I'm getting hit, but I'm not getting eaten. I'm not getting down to the bigger ones.
We had talked about moving the boat, Skip, but I've learned things about moving boats.
Scatters fish.
If you can get on them, like I would prefer maybe to be a little more back. But if you can get bites and you're on them, that's good enough. Now, one of the biggest things that you have to learn when you're fishing these circle hooks, guys, is that to try to resist. I finally got my bait, Skip.
Finally
For
got
6 or
your
7 fish. Is to try to resist setting the hook, guys. Just like you would fish a circle hook with regular bait. Try to resist setting the hook and just let the fish kind of take it, and you'll hook a lot more. They got my trusty whiffles out of my pocket here. And we move to the next spot. We'll give it a couple more casts, and when I get them, we'll move on.
Before you move, I want to say something about that on the camera.
Just pretend the camera's not here, just keep right on talking.
I want to make a point about that before you move.
Okay, well, we'll record.
All right, I'm going to go down. I went down to a 1/0 hook. I put a larger weight. Rodney's been catching the snappers. And I'm going to change colors. So I got my 1/0 hook, my weight. Rodney's hooked up again. And I'm going to see if I can catch a fish. Rodney's caught like 7 or 8 fish, and I've caught 0. Lots of bites, no catches.
I've been getting some legal size one, guys, but this is one of the smaller ones. He's going to have to go back. Oh, sorry, buddy. I've had folks tell me that you can't catch snappers in high numbers on artificial. Okay? And after 50 fish, they change their mind.
With Mr. Wiffle Lure, you
That's
can.
right.
That tail really calls them in. And the action of it attracts them. They're bumping it again. Oh. We got each other now, Rodney.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, sir.
Get at that.
Cut!
That's going in. Have it, you know.
Uh-oh, look, while I was trying to get untangled with Skip, the fish were so ravenous for the wiffle lure, they ate the tail off.
That's right. They'll do that. Just like my comment I made earlier about people getting their tails bit off them 4-inch. The problem is that you've got a small fish around trying to eat them, and they catch up to the tail and they bite it off, and soon the micro wiffles will be on the market for the public, and you'll be able to switch over, and that'll allow you to catch fish. Nothing wrong with catching legal size mangrove snapper, folks. They're not the big game, but they are a game.
And they're probably the #1 best eating fish in the Everglades.
Rodney's favorite fish
Yeah.
to eat.
Yeah, I got hit pretty good on that retrieve,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't hook up.
That's what's been happening to me for some reason. Oh yeah,
Make
that's
one
why
more
why you
cast.
didn't right there.
Make one more cast, and if we don't have our fish, let's go ahead and figure we got them. We'll move on.
You called it correct, Rodney.
Where they've been hitting the best at, Skip, is right about where you're at.
That's, yeah, and I started about where you're at this time.
Hitting it. A little more.
I still don't have as heavy a weight as you have.
Gotcha.
And when we go to move, I don't have any bigger weights. I'm gonna have to get one the size that you have.
I've got plenty.
And then maybe I'll start getting down there where the bigger ones are. Got him.
Not very big. Okay. I think we might have put the big ones in the box. We'll go to the next one.
Before we leave real quick, give me a larger weight.
Okay.
I'll get re-rigged as fast as I can.
What I love about this bait, guys, the wiffle, and we use this bait, I do on my charters, to catch multitudes of sea trout right up to 20 to 25 inches long on just that right there. And the good thing about it is you don't miss these guys. And you see we put 6 or 7 mangrove snapper already in the box that are legal with that rig right there. So the 4-inch is great if you know you're in big fish, grouper, snapper, grouper and trout. The 4-inch is fine, but if you want to not miss the small stuff, that's what you go with right there. All right, you need to
When you hear me say move, crank up the motor. Okay, we're getting ready to move here, and I'm going to put on a heavier weight on my rig. We've been here about 20 minutes. We've put 6 mangrove snapper in the box that are legal. You'll find a lot of people around the Chokoloskee fishing area, they hardly ever catch legal snapper. They can't find them. But as we've shown you already, we're using the Mr. Wiffle Lure Micro Wiffle. And we're going to be moving. We're still catching fish, but we're only catching the smaller ones now. I think Rodney must have caught 10 or 12 mangroves here. I didn't catch any because I wasn't rigged properly. I didn't have enough weight on my rod. So Rodney, if you'll crank up the motor, we'll get out of here and we're going to go to the next spot. I like this boat for this. It's a lot easier than
Oh, yeah.
boat where you can
Oh, yeah.
walk around and we're not trying to throw each other over.
see I'm caught.
Yeah.
The stability issues, it's much better to have the stability.
I got my GPS for my skiff.
Okay.
Got a Garmin 546.
Now, potentially all the way from over to the bank
Uh-huh.
to also right against the side of the boat
Okay.
is the hole.
Gotcha.
Getting it.
Yeah, I'm getting a couple little taps, very small. There he is, he's on. Got him a grouper probably. Get him, Rodney.
He's not gonna eat, guys, but they're still fun.
Look at there. Now that's on the 4-inch Mr. Whiffalore, correct, Rodney?
That's a 4-inch.
What
And
color?
boy, look at that. Let's see if we can even see it, guys. He inhaled it. That's the 4-inch Mr. Whiffle with the blood tail skip. And I'm gonna try my best to be not hurt him. Okay.
Look at how he had him spit it out. Put it back in there and do that again, Rodney.
He has to be 22 inches, guys, in Collier County to keep. But that's a perfect example of why I like the bigger baits, to hit them first, to hit the hole first with them.
Gotcha.
Is just for the groupers.
And then, when you're fishing for the groupers with a larger bait, if the little ones are hitting the bigger bait, this is mangroves, then you know, and you can switch right over to the micro whiffle and start catching them if the grouper aren't biting. Now that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to switch over to a larger bait. I'm going to
Larry,
take...
the bait is a little chewed out where we put our hooks in. Hang on. Guys, this is the bait I just caught the grouper on, and as you've been seeing us fish these things, we fish with a circle hook right through the nose. That's all we do. And it's a little chewed out, and I don't want to lose the bait, so I'm just gonna, little trick, we just trim it off. I'll take my my rig and go right back into the bait, just like so, and that's it. And let's see if we can't get us another big grouper, or another grouper, period.
I got whacked, but I missed it. Might have got a bait. Boy, Rodney, he sucked that watermelon right off there.
Did he?
Yes, sir.
See, part of the issues that I think a lot of folks have with fishing artificial lures is they think they have to really go too fast and move the bait a lot. But the tail on these baits is so productive that just sitting still on the bottom, it'll catch them.
Yeah, as long as you've got any moving water at all, this tail moves. We've had quite a few Mr. Whiffalure users that just hung their baits over the side of the boat while they were doing something and had trout and certain ladyfish and all kinds of fish come up and eat the bait while it's just hanging over the side. Look at Rodney showing off again. That little snapper. Now look at that.
That's on the 4-inch. The good thing about using the bigger baits is that you're not going to catch small snapper, you know?
Are you still using the smaller hook?
Yes. I'm a little different. I like the versatility. I like the versatility of the 1 more than the 2 or the 3, but if I knew I was going for something bigger, I might stick with a 2 or a 3. But since I'm fishing for anything that'll bite, I like to go with the ones. And I've landed slot size or bigger groupers on the 1-0s.
Yeah, if you look on our website, www.mrwhiffelure.com, you'll see that there's a picture of Captain Rodney with an 18-pound snook. And that was caught on a, what I call prissy pink glitter, 4-inch Mr. Wiffle lure. And he only had a 1-0 hook. So with these 1-0 circle hooks, we like the Gamakatsu 1-0 perfect circle hooks. They really, when they hook a fish, they don't go anywhere. They stay on the line. Recently I fished some people, we were trout fishing, and they weren't circle hook fishermen. They used jigs, lead head jigs. And we started catching the trout, and as soon as they got some decent trout on, they started hollering for the net. And to me, the trout wasn't big enough for the net. So I said, "What you need the net for?" And they said, "Well, that's a big trout." And I said, "You know what, with that circle hook, that fish isn't going to shake off there." And we didn't use the net, and before the day was over with, they were all wanting to use the circle hooks, you know, in their own boats. And they learned that you don't need the net when you get a fish that shakes his head, because that circle hook, once it gets a hold of them, 99% of the time you're going to keep them on the hook.
Now, Larry, you see that I've been using the bigger bait, and before I leave this spot, I won't be satisfied on the snapper until I switch over and use my small one.
Well, I had on a new color that's not on the market yet. I call it the Poon Whopper. It's a grape purple with blue glitter in it. And I wasn't doing too good with the bite, so I'm going to go to a standard color we got now. Root beer glitter gold with a chartreuse tail. Chartreuse tail on a root beer glitter gold 4-inch size. Ah, I know what part of the problem here is, Rodney. I got a small weight on this one. I knew something was different between the two rods. Oh, you get cut off?
They bit my little tail.
Bit your tail off. When we leave this spot, I'm going to have to switch the weight on this one.
Okay, I'm going to call this one.
What do you call it?
I'm going to call a legal snapper in the box.
Legal snapper. Oh. He shook his head, and I just can't get a hook in one this morning.
What do you got for a hook?
I've got the
One.
I've got the 3-0 on this one, but I got the larger bait.
Just not as good of a spot right now. What's going on? Last cast will make a move.
Ooh.
Every once in a great while you'll have a bait with the way we rig them that you have to kind of untangle it a little bit, but that's about it.
Folks, I want you to see this bait. We talk about you don't have to wind and the tail moves. We're sitting here anchored up. And I want you to see the tail movement on that bait just in the current. if we were to throw that bait down and just let it sit on the bottom, that's exactly what it's doing. So that's a good thing about this bait. You know, if you fish children or you fish people that aren't very good anglers, you don't have to be a great angler to fish this lure. And when we're doing the twitch and fall method, or Rodney calls it in the holes, he calls it the drop and pop. There you go, there's your action that you get. That tail, look at it, it's always moving. Going down, coming up, sitting still. The best tail action in the market, 4-inch or any Mr. Wiffle lure bait. Look at it on the surface there. Drives the fish crazy. It displaces water, underwater, makes a noise. You know yourself, if you were in a bathtub and you put your hand underwater and shook your hand back and forth, it makes a noise, and that noise, in this instance with these baits, will attract the fish.
Grab a seat.
Can I put my feet in?
Chugging along while I get my hands wet. Squeezing all your water out of there.
Spots that I found the trout in are north of us.
Okay. We'll hit those on that incoming, right?
That's my intentions.
You got good intentions, Captain Rodney. One thing about Rodney, when he does something, good intentions. Now I'm gonna catch fish.
Now skip anywhere from where I'm pointing. Potentially look all the way across there.
Wow, okay.
So maybe you take the front and I'll take the back part of it.
Okay, we'll do that.
And
I'll start out towards these trees.
And potentially as far as you can cast it, right
Yes.
on the side of the boat.
All right.
Let me get him behind.
Get between us.
That way I can go either direction.
Go ACDC, Rodney.
We're recording. For the record, no ACDC.
fish are always going to see cormorant somewhere.
Yeah. Rodney, that might be a way to find them. You see one sitting, you know.
There he is.
There he is.
It's a snapper, I'm pretty sure. I'm still with the micro.
Gotcha.
What do you got, Skip? You with the bigger bait?
I'm with the bigger bait. Oh, that looks like a
Yeah,
keeper,
he might be a
Rodney.
keeper.
Good job. They're hitting it on the fall.
He's on the move.
They were hitting mine on the fall that
On
time.
the move.
Did he make it?
I haven't measured them yet. Usually when they're close. When I'm Mr. Whipple in it, when they're close, I usually just throw them back. Because I know that I'm going to catch some good ones. See, look. He's only about... He barely makes it. We'll let him go.
So that's a keeper we actually threw away. Got to remember that for our records.
2 reasons. I figure I'm going to get bigger ones. And also, I really don't want any issues with the law enforcement. If we get stopped, I really don't want them having to think about it too much. I'd rather just have the fish look like it's legal. Now, Skip, just to let you know, I started getting better bites kind of back here.
Okay, right where that rip starts, nervous water.
Yes. And we're not beyond moving the boat. I'm just...
Okay, I'm gonna try to cast back this way. Not this cast, but the last cast, something was hitting it when it was sinking. So I'm hoping maybe that was trout, but we don't know. There's where it was. Missed him?
And I was very patient too. That don't happen too often with circle hooks. When you're real patient like that and you let them take it, you usually get on. Let's see if we can get them again.
He could have been a micro snapper and even too small to get that one.
That's right. I never jigged it once and I had a little fish hit it right then. Not very big. And another thing that we should mention, Skip, is that even though it's not impossible to catch catfish on these lures, that you see we haven't had the first catfish this morning. And that's a good thing with most fishermen.
Yeah, especially in this Everglades National Park area. Yeah. A lot of catfish.
I'm gonna guess.
Didn't make it.
Made it. Again, just one of those real close ones that I would prefer not to keep. That was
Well, they got to be 10 inches, 12?
10.
10.
And by the time he hits the ice and sits there and the Rangers pushed him on a board, it's possible that he wouldn't make it.
It's possible he'll go down to 9
That's right.
and 7 8. So.
Yes.
Yeah, and they got a tough enough job to sit around measuring 10-inch fish.
Ooh, double hit right there. Hitting it again. Right here out close behind the boat. Oh, missed it.
Just don't linger too much longer. I got 2 or 3 more spots right in there before this tide falls out.
Yeah.
That I think we'll be able to use our big baits for grouper. There he is.
I'm gonna go out this way one time. Is the camera running? By the way, folks, one day fishing like this with Captain Rodney, if you go to the website, you'll see a picture of me with a yellow raincoat on and holding a nice 28-inch gag grouper that I caught using this method, fishing with Captain Rodney on a 4-inch Mr. Wiffle lure chartreuse pearl color. Go to our website and you'll see that on there, the picture. www.mrwifflelure.com is where it's at. We have all the evidence right there on the website.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and try that other spot.
Let me go back there where you're at with this bigger bait one time.
There he is.
Yeah, they must be real small there,
be.
Rodney. Are we going to have to make a half-inch micro wiffle?
I don't know. Let's see. I might have to.
Ooh, man, they're thumping the heck out of this one, buddy.
What do you got for the hook? Still the bigger hook?
Yep.
Yeah. Check it out.
Watch that rod tip there, Larry. See him thumping it? I definitely am getting myself a lot more hits on this root beer glitter gold with a shark tail than I was like on the Poon Whopper, the purple with the blue.
You always want to experiment with your colors, right, Skip?
Yeah, you always want to experiment with colors. If you look here, folks, oh, Rodney's hooked up. Wait a minute. Oh no, he got off again. Boy, you're doing like I was doing at the other hole. If you look here, folks, normally what I do is I just get a mismatch of colors and put them in my pocket. And then when I want to change colors with this rig that we use, simply bring in your rod. Now I want to make another note about this rig that we use. This rig here is not a lead head jig head. This, it hides the hook so you don't snag. Now don't forget, we're fishing in rock holes. You're not seeing us hook the bottom, and we're bouncing right along the bottom. You don't have to put your jig head through here. It doesn't tear up the inside of the bait when you rig it this way. So what I do, folks, is I just keep a bunch in my pocket when I want to switch colors. Rodney's got a little snapper there, and I pick out what color I want to go with next. And just that simple to change your baits. I mean, again, if you're fishing unnovice fishermen or children, or if you're a guide, your customers can do this. It's an easy way to fish. Catch a lot of fish with Mr. Wiffle Lure. www.mrwifflelure.com.